PL-200 Microsoft Power Platform Functional Consultant. Top 50 exam questions and answers, latest 2024. Question. A company is using a model-driven app. When users view contacts for an account by navigating to the related tab, they do not see the job title column in the default view. You need to configure the view to include the job title column. Which view should you configure? Options. A. Advanced Find. B. Quick Find. C. Associated. D. Default Public. The correct answer is C. Associated. Explanation. When users navigate to the Related tab in a model-driven app, they are viewing the associated view for the relationship between the entities, e.g., accounts and contacts. To display the job title column in this scenario, you must configure the associated view of the contacts entity. Here's why the other options are incorrect. A. Advanced Find. This is used for performing searches and generating views dynamically, not for configuring default views on the Related tab. B. Quick Find. This configures the fields available for searches in the search bar, not for displaying data in the Related tab. D. Default Public. This term isn't directly tied to the context of the Related tab or associated views. Correct answer, C. Associated. Question. You create a Canvas app to collect information for emergency medical technicians. You must perform a calculation on the blood pressure screen to display a score result to the user. You must use a variable for only the blood pressure screen. Which function should you use? Options. A. Collect. B. Set. C. Clear. Collect. D. Update context. The correct answer is 2D. Update context. In a Canvas app, update context is used to define or update a context variable, which is a variable that is scoped only to the current screen. Since the requirement is to use the variable only on the blood pressure screen, update context is the correct function to use. Why the other options are incorrect. A. Collect. This function is used to create or update a collection which stores multiple rows of data. It is not used for single screen variables. B. Set. This function defines or updates a global variable which can be accessed across all screens. However, the requirement is for the variable to be screen-specific. C. Clear Collect. This function clears all data in a collection and then adds new data. It is used for managing collections, not single-screen variables. Example of using update context. Power Apps, update context, blood pressure score 120. This sets a context variable blood pressure score to 120 on the current screen. The variable blood pressure score will only be available on the blood pressure screen where it is defined. Question. You are developing a Canvas app named App 1. The app has two screens, Browse Screen 1 and Edit Screen 1. Browse Screen 1 includes a vertical gallery named Gallery 1, and Edit Screen 1 includes an edit form named Form 1. You need to ensure that an item selected in Gallery 1 is populated in Form 1. Which property should you configure? Options. A. Set the default mode property of Form 1 to Gallery1.selected. B. Set the data source property of Form 1 to Gallery1.selected. C. Set the item property of Form 1 to Gallery1.selected. D. Set the onSuccess property of Form 1 to Gallery1.selected. The correct answer is C. Set the item property of Form 1 to Gallery 1 at selected. Explanation. The item property of a form determines which record the form displays or edits. By setting the item property of Form 1 to Gallery 1.selected, the selected item in the gallery will be populated in the form when navigating from Browse Screen 1 to Edit Screen 1. Why the other options are incorrect. A. Default mode. This property controls whether the form is in New, Edit, or View mode. It does not populate the form with data. B. Data source. This property specifies the data source for the form, e.g., a table or collection. It does not determine the specific record displayed. D. On success. This property is triggered after a successful operation, e.g., saving the form. It does not control which record is displayed. Correct configuration. To ensure the form displays the selected item from the gallery, Power Apps item, gallery1.selected. Question. You build a Canvas app for a food testing company. Users enter their food preferences in the app. Users must be able to submit multiple values at once. You need to configure the functionality. Options. A. Checkbox. B. Combo box. C. Slider. D. Drop-down. The correct answer is B. Combo box. Explanation. The combo box component in Power Apps allows users to select multiple values at once. It is specifically designed for scenarios where users need to make multiple selections from a predefined list of options. Why the other options are incorrect. A. Checkbox. A checkbox allows users to select or deselect a single value. Multiple checkboxes would need to be manually configured for multiple values, which is less efficient. C. Slider. A slider is used for selecting a single numerical value within a range. It is not suitable for selecting multiple values. D. Drop-down. A drop-down menu typically allows selection of only one value at a time unless explicitly configured for multi-selection, which is less common and less user-friendly than a combo box. Correct usage. To enable multi-selection, 1. Add a combo box to your Canvas app. 2. Set the items property to your data source. 3. Enable the Allow Multiple Selections property. This allows users to select and submit multiple preferences efficiently. Question. You have basic user access to a new Microsoft Power Platform environment. You need to provision a new Power Pages in the environment. Which security role should you be assigned to provision the portal? Options. A. System Customizer. B. System Administrator. C. Environment Maker. D. Service Writer. The correct answer is B. System Administrator. Explanation. To provision a new Power Pages, formerly Power Apps portals, in an environment, the System Administrator role is required. This role has the highest level of permissions, including the ability to create and manage all components such as Power Pages. Why the other options are incorrect. A. System Customizer. This role allows customization of components but does not grant permissions to create new Power Pages. C. Environment Maker. While this role allows creating apps, flows, and other resources, it does not provide the necessary permissions to provision Power Pages. D. Service Writer. This role is not relevant for creating resources like Power Pages. Summary. To provision a new Power Pages, you must have the System Administrator role, as it provides the required access to manage and create Power Pages. Question. You manage a Microsoft Power Pages site. You need to allow users to download content from Power Pages by using web files. Which external location can you use to store the web files? Options. A. Microsoft SharePoint. B. OneDrive for Business. C. Microsoft Azure Blob Storage. D. Microsoft Stream. The correct answer is C. Microsoft Azure Blob Storage. Explanation. Microsoft Azure Blob Storage is commonly used for storing and serving files for Power Pages, formerly Power Apps portals. It provides scalable and secure storage for web files, allowing users to download content from Power Pages efficiently. Why the other options are incorrect. A. Microsoft SharePoint. While SharePoint can store files, it is not natively supported for direct integration with Power Pages for serving downloadable web files. B. OneDrive for Business. OneDrive is designed for personal or business file storage and sharing, but it is not integrated with Power Pages for serving web files. D. Microsoft Stream. Microsoft Stream is a service for video storage and sharing, not for storing web files. Summary. To enable file downloads in Power Pages using web files, Microsoft Azure Blob Storage is the correct choice. It integrates well with Power Pages for content delivery. Question. You need to use Microsoft Power FX to create formulas in a Canvas app. Which type of low-code language enables this? Options: A. Compiled. B. Declarative. C. Assembly. D. Interpreted. The correct answer is B. Declarative. Explanation. Microsoft PowerFX is a declarative, low-code programming language used in Power Apps to create formulas. It focuses on defining what the app should do rather than detailing how it should be done, making it simpler for non-developers to use. Why the other options are incorrect. A. Compiled. PowerFX is not compiled into machine code. It is interpreted in real time within the app. C. Assembly. Assembly language is a low-level language used for hardware-specific tasks, which is unrelated to PowerFX. D. Interpreted. While PowerFX is processed in real time, its nature is declarative rather than being fully interpreted like scripting languages. Summary. PowerFX is a declarative, low-code language, making it ideal for building formulas in Canvas apps. Question. You are configuring a main form in a model-driven app for the contact table. You need to display columns from the parent account on the form. Which form type should you configure for the account table? Options: A. Card, main. C. Create. D. Quick view. The correct answer is D. Explanation. A quick view form is used to display fields from a related table, in this case, the parent account, on a form of another table, in this case, the contact. By adding a quick view form for the account table to the contact form, you can show selected columns from the related account without duplicating the data. Why the other options are incorrect. A. Card. A card form is used for compact layouts and interactive dashboards, not for displaying related table data. B. Main. The main form is used to configure the primary interface for a table, but it is not designed to display related table data on another table's form. C. Quick Create. A quick create form is used for creating new records quickly, not for displaying related data. Summary. To display columns from the parent account on the contact form, configure a quick view form for the account table. Question. You manage a Microsoft Power Platform development environment. You need to implement a mechanism to avoid duplicate component names across different solutions. Which solution property should you use? Options A, B, publisher, C, version, D, configuration page. The correct answer is B, publisher. Explanation. The publisher property in Microsoft Power Platform solutions is used to define a unique prefix for components, such as entities, fields, and views within a solution. This prefix helps avoid duplicate component names across different solutions by ensuring that each component name is prefixed with a unique identifier. Why the other options are incorrect. A, name. The name of the solution identifies the solution itself, but does not enforce uniqueness for component names. C, version. The version property is used to track the version of the solution and does not impact component naming. D, configuration page. This is used to define custom configuration settings for the solution, not to manage component names. Summary. To avoid duplicate component names across different solutions, you should use the publisher property to assign a unique prefix to components. Question. You are developing a new Microsoft Power Platform solution for a company. The product within the solution must be applied as a third-party component to other environments. Which type of solution should you use? Options. A, unmanaged solution with custom publisher. B, managed solution with custom publisher. C, managed solution with default publisher. D, unmanaged solution with default publisher. The correct answer is B, managed solution with custom publisher. Explanation. A managed solution is used when deploying a solution as a third-party component to other environments. It is locked to prevent unintended modifications and ensures integrity. Using a custom publisher adds a unique prefix to components, avoiding conflicts with components from other solutions or environments. Why the other options are incorrect. A, unmanaged solution with custom publisher. Unmanaged solutions are used for development purposes and are not suitable for distributing third-party components because they can be modified in the target environment. C, managed solution with default publisher. While a managed solution is correct for third-party deployment, using the default publisher does not ensure unique prefixes for components, which can lead to naming conflicts. D, unmanaged solution with default publisher. This option is incorrect for the same reasons as A and does not meet the requirements for third-party deployment. Summary. To apply a third-party component to other environments, you must use a managed solution with a custom publisher to ensure integrity and avoid conflicts. Question. You manage solution deployment between Microsoft Dataverse environments. You import solutions from several customizers. You need to update the components that support merge behavior. Which component should you update? Options. A, model-driven app. B, Cloudflow. C, Dataverse table. D, Canvas app. The correct answer is A, model-driven app. Explanation. Model-driven apps and their components, such as forms and sitemaps, support merge behavior during solution updates. This allows changes from multiple solution layers to be combined without overwriting existing configurations, making it possible to maintain customizations from various sources. Why the other components are incorrect. B, Cloudflow. Cloudflows use top wins behavior, where the topmost solution layer determines the runtime behavior. They do not support merge behavior. C. Dataverse table. Dataverse tables also use top wins behavior, meaning updates from the top solution layer override changes in lower layers. Merge behavior is not supported. D. Canvas app. Canvas apps similarly use top wins behavior, where the layer at the top of the solution stack defines how the app operates at runtime with no merge functionality. Key concept: merge behavior ensures that updates from different layers coexist without overwriting each other, preserving existing configurations. Of the provided options, only model-driven apps support merge behavior during solution updates. Question: you create a Canvas app in a Microsoft Dataverse solution. The Canvas app calculates values from data entered in the app. You deploy the solution to downstream environments. Users report that the calculations return formula errors. You need to diagnose the issue with the Canvas app. Options: A. Power Apps Checker. B. Microsoft Power Platform Admin Center. C. Microsoft 365 Admin Center. D. Solution Import History. The correct answer is A. Power Apps Checker. Explanation: Power Apps Checker is a tool designed to analyze apps, including Canvas apps, for issues such as formula errors, accessibility problems, and performance concerns. It provides detailed diagnostics to help identify and resolve the cause of errors in your app. Why the other options are incorrect? B. Microsoft Power Platform Admin Center. This is used for managing environments, users, and capacity, but does not provide diagnostic tools for identifying formula errors in Canvas apps. C. Microsoft 365 Admin Center. This is primarily used for managing Microsoft 365 services like users, licenses, and billing. It does not diagnose Power Apps. D. Solution Import History. This tracks the import status of solutions but does not diagnose issues within an app's formulas or functionality. Summary: to diagnose formula errors in a Canvas app, use Power Apps Checker, which provides comprehensive insights into app performance and issues. Question: a company is implementing Microsoft Dynamics 365 sales. Orders must be updated within 5 days after being placed. The customer wants an error message to appear in the orders table if an order is not updated. You need to create the error message. Options: A. Cloudflow triggered on a daily schedule. B. Business rule. C. Business process flow. D. Data flow. The correct answer is business rule. Explanation: a business rule in Microsoft Dynamics 365 is used to enforce logic at the table level, including validations and displaying error messages. You can create a business rule that checks if the order is updated within 5 days and displays an error message on the orders table if the condition is not met. Why the other options are incorrect? A. Cloudflow triggered on a daily schedule. While a Cloudflow can automate actions on a schedule, it cannot directly display error messages on a form or table. C. Business process flow. Business process flows guide users through a process but do not enforce table-level validation or display error messages. Data flow. Data flows are used for data integration and transformation, but are not relevant for displaying error messages or enforcing logic in a Dynamics 365 table. Summary: to display an error message if an order is not updated within 5 days, configure a business rule in the orders table. Business rules are designed for real-time validation and user notifications. Question: you manage a model-driven app. Users often enter data incorrectly in a model-driven app form. You need to display business recommendations based on business intelligence to help the users. Options: A. Business process flow, B. Workflow, C. Cloud flow, D. Business rule. The correct answer is D. Business rule. Explanation: a business rule in a model-driven app can be used to display business recommendations directly on forms. These recommendations guide users by providing suggestions based on conditions and logic, helping them avoid data entry mistakes and improving data accuracy. Why the other options are incorrect. A. Business process flow. This is used to guide users through a process step by step, but does not dynamically display recommendations on forms. B. Workflow. Workflows automate background processes and do not provide real-time recommendations or guidance on forms. C. Cloudflow. Cloudflows automate processes across services, but do not interact directly with model-driven app forms to display recommendations. Summary: to display business recommendations based on intelligence directly on a model-driven app form, configure a business rule. Question: a company is using Microsoft Dynamics 365 Sales. Managers must receive an email when a salesperson creates a new opportunity that is greater than $5,000 United States dollar. You need to create a flow to send the email. Options: A. Scheduled cloud flow with a switch action. B. Scheduled cloud flow with an apply to each action. C. Automated cloud flow with a condition action. D. Automated cloud flow with a switch action. The correct answer is C. Automated cloud flow with a condition action. Explanation: an automated cloud flow is triggered automatically when a specified event occurs, such as when a new opportunity is created in Microsoft Dynamics 365 Sales. To check if the opportunity amount exceeds 5,000 USD, you can use a condition action within the flow. The condition ensures that the email is only sent if the specified criteria are met. Why the other options are incorrect. A. Scheduled cloud flow with a switch action. A scheduled cloud flow runs at specified intervals, but this scenario requires real-time triggering when a new opportunity is created. B. Scheduled cloud flow with an apply to each action. This is unnecessary since the flow must act on a single event rather than iterating over multiple records. D. Automated cloud flow with a switch action. A switch action is used to handle multiple conditions with specific cases. In this scenario, a single condition, amount greater than $5,000, is sufficient, making a switch action unnecessary. Summary: to send an email to managers when a new opportunity greater than $5,000 USD is created, use an automated cloud flow with a condition action. Question: you're configuring a Canvas app. The app requires a business rule to perform validation. You need to configure the business rule action. Options: A. Hide column. B. Disable column. C. Set column value. D. Show recommendation. The correct answer is C. Set column value. Explanation: when performing validation in a Canvas app using a business rule, the set column value action allows you to automatically correct or apply a specific value to a column based on conditions. This ensures data integrity and provides a straightforward way to enforce validation rules. Why the other options are incorrect. A. Hide column. This action hides a column from the user interface but does not enforce validation. B. Disable column. This action prevents users from editing a column but does not perform validation. D. Show recommendation. This action provides guidance to users but does not actively validate or enforce rules. Summary. To perform validation in a Canvas app using a business rule, use the set column value action to enforce specific conditions and ensure accurate data entry. Question. You are building an approval cloud flow for a company to assign tasks. The company plans to allow 5 days for task assignments. If an assignee does not complete an assigned task within the 5 days, the task must be assigned to the assignee's manager. You need to configure the cloud flow. Options. Select all that apply. A. Set the wait for an approval action timeout setting to P5D. B. Add a delay action and set it to pause at 120 hours. C. Use a parallel branch action. D. Configure a start an approval action to run after the previous action times out. E. Use a condition control to verify whether the task is completed within the expected time. F. Use a switch control to assign tasks based on roles. The correct answer is A. Set the wait for an approval action timeout setting to P5D. C. Use a parallel branch action. D. Configure a start an approval action to run after the previous action times out. Explanation. A. Set the wait for an approval action timeout setting to P5D. This configures the timeout for the approval process, ensuring it waits exactly 5 days before triggering the next action. C. Use a parallel branch action. A parallel branch can be used to monitor the task while the approval process runs. One branch checks for task completion while the other manages the timeout process. 3. D. Configure a start an approval action to run after the previous action times out. This action ensures that if the timeout occurs, the task is reassigned to the manager for completion. Why the other options are incorrect. B. Add a delay action and set it to pause at 120 hours. The delay action is redundant when the wait for an approval action includes a timeout setting. E. Use a condition control to verify whether the task is completed within the expected time. This is unnecessary in the context of using a parallel branch to manage task completion and reassignment logic. F. Use a switch control to assign tasks based on roles. While switch controls are useful for conditional role-based logic, this scenario does not require role-based assignments. Summary. The correct combination of actions is A, C, and D to implement the approval flow effectively with task reassignment after the timeout. Question. A company uses Microsoft Dynamics 365 Sales to manage orders. When a user fulfills an order in Dynamics 365 Sales, the accounting system must update automatically. If the update fails, the system must display a message to the user in the order form. You need to set up the automation. Options. A. Automated cloud flow. B. Scheduled cloud flow. C. Asynchronous classic workflow. D. Synchronous classic workflow. The correct answer is D. Synchronous classic workflow. Explanation. A synchronous classic workflow executes immediately when the triggering event occurs, in this case, fulfilling an order. Since it operates in real time, it can provide immediate feedback to the user, such as displaying an error message on the order form if the update to the accounting system fails. Why the other options are incorrect. A. Automated cloud flow. While cloud flows can automate processes, they operate asynchronously and cannot provide real-time feedback to users on the Dynamics 365 Sales order form. B. Scheduled cloud flow. This type of flow runs on a schedule and is not triggered by specific user actions, making it unsuitable for this requirement. C. Asynchronous classic workflow. Asynchronous workflows run in the background and do not provide immediate feedback to users. This makes them unsuitable for displaying real-time error messages. Summary. To ensure that the accounting system updates automatically and displays an error message on the order form if the update fails, you should use a synchronous classic workflow. Question. You manage a business rule that is added to a business process flow. You need to ensure that the business rule is configured to run on the server side. What should you use as the business rule scope? Options. A. All forms. B. Table. C. Quick view form. D. Main form. The correct answer is table. Explanation. To ensure that a business rule runs on the server side, the scope must be set to table. When the scope is set to table, the business rule applies at the database level and runs server side, regardless of whether the data is modified through a form, an API, or another process. Why the other options are incorrect? A. All forms. This scope applies the business rule to all client-side forms, but does not enable server-side execution. C. Quick view form. This scope applies the business rule to quick view forms, which are client-side only. D. Main form. This scope applies the business rule to the main form and is also client-side. Summary. To configure a business rule to execute on the server side, set the scope to table. Question. You are building a business process flow. One step requires manager approval for users. You need to design a cloud flow to manage the approval. Options. A. Use a manual trigger in the cloud flow. B. Create the cloud flow in a default environment. C. Add the cloud flow as a separate stage in a business process flow. D. Add the cloud flow to an existing stage by using a flow step component. Correct answer is D. Add the cloud flow to an existing stage by using a flow step component. Explanation. To integrate an approval process into a business process flow, you can use a flow step component. This allows you to embed a cloud flow directly into an existing stage of the business process flow, enabling seamless execution of the approval process as part of the workflow. Why the other options are incorrect? A. Use a manual trigger in the cloud flow. A manual trigger requires user input to start the flow, which does not align with automating the process as part of a business process flow. B. Create the cloud flow in a default environment. While this determines where the cloud flow is stored, it does not define how it is integrated with the business process flow. C. Add the cloud flow as a separate stage in a business process flow. Cloud flows cannot be added as separate stages in a business process flow. They must be embedded within an existing stage using a flow step component. Summary. To manage approvals in a business process flow, embed the cloud flow within an existing stage by using a flow step component. This ensures the approval process is integrated into the overall workflow. The correct answer is D. Question. You are developing a business process flow. You need to trigger a workflow on demand inside the business process flow to create a new account. Which component should you use? Option stage. B. Condition. C. Data step. D. Action step. The correct answer is D. Action step. Explanation. An action step in a business process flow allows you to trigger workflows or actions on demand. In this case, you can use the action step to trigger a workflow that creates a new account during the process flow. Why the other options are incorrect. A stage. A stage is a broader component that groups steps and represents phases in the business process flow. It does not trigger workflows directly. B. Condition. A condition determines the path of the process based on defined criteria, but it does not execute workflows. C. Data step. A data step is used to collect or display information but cannot trigger workflows or actions. Summary. To trigger a workflow on demand inside a business process flow, use an action step, which is specifically designed for executing workflows or custom actions. Question. You want to configure logs to automatically delete as workflows complete. You plan to use a bulk delete job that runs on a recurring schedule. You need to set the recurring schedule. Options. A. Minute. B. Hour. C. Day. D. Week. E. Month. The correct answer is C. Explanation. When setting up a bulk delete job in Microsoft Dynamics 365, you can configure it to run on a daily recurring schedule. While the bulk delete job supports intervals like day, week, and month, it does not support minute or hour level recurrence. Why the other options are incorrect. A. Minute. Bulk delete jobs cannot be configured to run on a per minute basis. B. Hour. Hourly frequency is not supported for bulk delete jobs. While weekly recurrence is an option, it does not meet the typical requirement of daily log deletion. E. Month. Monthly recurrence is an option, but it is not as commonly used for managing logs as a daily schedule. For log cleanup using a bulk delete job, configure the schedule to run daily. This ensures timely removal of completed workflow logs without overloading the system. Question. You manage a Microsoft Dataverse instance. You must prevent the creation of a new account in the accounts table. You need to use custom logic on a real-time basis to meet the requirement. Options. A. Desktop flow. B. Cloud flow. C. Classic workflow. D. Business process flow. The correct answer is C. Classic workflow. Explanation. To prevent the creation of a new account in the accounts table in real time, you can use a classic workflow configured to run in real-time mode. This allows you to apply custom logic that stops the creation of accounts immediately as the operation is triggered. Why the other options are incorrect. A. Desktop flow. Desktop flows are used for robotic process automation, RPA, and are not designed to enforce real-time logic within Dataverse. B. Cloud flow. Cloud flows operate asynchronously and cannot enforce real-time logic to prevent actions such as record creation. D. Business process flow. Business process flows guide users through a process but do not enforce logic for preventing record creation. Summary. To apply custom logic on a real-time basis and prevent the creation of a new account, use a classic workflow configured for real-time execution. Question. You are developing a classic workflow for expense approval. You need to ensure that the workflow pauses at a step until the criteria defined by the condition is met and then starts automatically when the condition is met. You need to configure the workflow. Options. A. Conditional branch. B. Wait condition. C. Check condition. D. Default action. The correct answer is B. Wait condition. Explanation. A wait condition in a classic workflow allows the workflow to pause at a specific step until the criteria defined by the condition are met. Once the condition is satisfied, the workflow resumes execution automatically. This is ideal for scenarios like expense approval, where the workflow must wait for specific conditions to be fulfilled. Why the other options are incorrect. A. Conditional branch. A conditional branch is used to define different paths in the workflow based on a condition, but it does not pause the workflow. C. Check condition. A check condition evaluates criteria but does not cause the workflow to pause or wait for the criteria to be met. D. Default action. Default actions are used for setting predefined behaviors and do not handle conditional waiting. Summary. To configure a classic workflow to pause until a condition is met and then resume automatically, use a wait condition. Question. A company has an automated flow that triggers when an item is created in a SharePoint list. The list has a column named status. You need to configure the flow to run only when the item status equals approved. What should you configure in the trigger? Options. A. Split on. B. Custom tracking ID. C. Trigger condition. D. Concurrency control. The correct answer is C. Trigger condition. Explanation. A trigger condition allows you to specify the conditions under which the flow should run. In this case, you can configure a trigger condition to ensure the flow only runs when the status column equals approved. This optimizes the flow by preventing it from triggering unnecessarily for other statuses. Why the other options are incorrect. A. Split on. This is used to process multiple records in parallel, not to control when a flow triggers. B. Custom tracking ID. This is used for assigning custom identifiers to track flow runs, not for setting conditions on triggers. D. Concurrency control. This controls how many flow runs can execute concurrently, but does not filter trigger conditions. Summary. To configure the flow to run on only when the status equals approved, use a trigger condition in the trigger configuration. Question. A company configures a research business unit in Dataverse. The business unit has users who own contacts in the contacts table. You use the Dataverse trigger in a Cloudflow to access the contacts table. You need to ensure that the flow triggers only if users in the research business unit modify the contacts. Which two actions should you perform? Options select all that apply. A. Set the scope to user. B. Set the scope to organization. C. Set the scope to business unit. D. Set the change type to modified. E. Set the change type to added or modified or deleted. The correct answers are C. Set the scope to business unit. D. Set the change type to modified. Explanation. 1. Set the scope to business unit. This ensures that the Cloudflow triggers only for actions performed by users within the specified business unit. In this case, the research business unit. The scope restricts triggering to changes made by users belonging to the selected business unit. 2. Set the change type to modified. Since the requirement is to trigger the flow only when contacts are modified, you must set the change type to modified. Why the other options are incorrect. A. Set the scope to user. This limits the trigger to changes made by a single specific user, which does not meet the requirement. B. Set the scope to organization. This triggers the flow for changes made across the entire organization, which is too broad for the given requirement. E. Set the change type to added or modified or deleted. While this allows triggering for all change types, the requirement specifically states triggering on certain modifications only. Summary. To configure the flow to trigger only when users in the research business unit modify contacts, set the scope to business unit, and the change type to modified. Question. You develop a low-code automated plugin that runs on a Dataverse table named Project. The project table has a due date column. You need to ensure that a project record cannot be modified if the project due date has passed. Which formula should you use in the plugin? Options. A. If due date today, error, the due date has passed. B. If this record due date today, valid true, valid false. C. If due date today, valid true, valid false. D. If this record due date today, error, the due date has passed. The correct answer is D. If this record due date today, error, the due date has passed. Explanation. This record is used to reference the current record being processed in the plugin. The formula checks if the due date for the current record, this record due date, is earlier than today's date, today. If the condition is true, an error is triggered using the error function, preventing modifications to the record. Tack, why the other options are incorrect. A. If due date today, error, the due date has passed. This formula does not use this record, so it does not explicitly reference the current record. B. If this record, due date today, valid true, valid false. This formula returns a validity object but does not trigger an error or prevent modifications. C. If due date today, valid true. Like option A, this does not use this record and only returns a validity object without enforcing a restriction. Summary. To prevent a project record from being modified when the due date has passed, use if this record dot due date today, error, the due date has passed, in the plugin. This ensures proper referencing and enforces the restriction. Question. A company uses Canvas apps to add customers to the Dataverse table named Customers. The company requires a business rule to enforce standard rules for all the Canvas apps. You need to ensure that the text NA is added to empty columns when the form is submitted. Which scope should you use for the business rule? Options. A. All forms. B. Entity. C. Information. D. Main. The correct answer is B. Entity. Explanation. When the scope of a business rule is set to entity, it applies to the table at the server level, ensuring that the rule is enforced regardless of how the data is submitted, e.g. through Canvas apps, model-driven apps, or API. This ensures the business rule runs for all Canvas apps that interact with the customers table. In this case, setting the entity scope ensures that the text NA is added to empty columns when the form is submitted, regardless of the app or method used to create or update records. Why the other options are incorrect. A. All forms. This scope applies the rule to all client-side forms, but does not enforce the rule at the table level for other entry methods like Canvas apps. C. Information. This is not a valid scope for business rules. D. Main. This scope applies the rule to the main form only, not across the entire table or through server-side logic. Summary. To enforce the business rule for all Canvas apps and ensure NA is added to empty columns on submission, set the scope of the business rule to entity. Question. You are developing a model-driven app to add a new account to the Dataverse accounts table. You need to prompt users with a recommendation if the revenue entered is greater than USD 5 million. What should you use to generate the prompt? Options. A. Business rule. B. Business process flow. C. Classic workflow. D. Power automate flow. The correct answer is A. Business rule. Explanation. A business rule can be configured in Dataverse to provide real-time recommendations or validations on forms in a model-driven app. You can use a business rule to check if the revenue is greater than USD 5 million and display a recommendation directly on the form. Recommendations in business rules are specifically designed for scenarios like this, where user guidance is needed based on the input. Why the other options are incorrect. B. Business process flow. Business process flows guide users through specific stages of a process, but do not display recommendations on a form. C. Classic workflow. Classic workflows operate in the background and cannot provide real-time recommendations or validations. D. Power automate flow. Power automate flows are designed for automation across systems, but are not suitable for real-time recommendations within a model-driven app form. Summary. To prompt users with a recommendation if revenue is greater than USD 5 million, use a business rule configured with a recommendation action. Question. You create a Canvas app within a solution. You require a Microsoft Power Automate flow that is triggered from within the Canvas app. You need to create the Power Automate flow. Options. A. Instant Cloud Flow under My Flows in the Power Automate Portal Designer. B. Automated Cloud Flow inside the solution. C. Instant Cloud Flow inside the solution. D. Desktop Flow inside the solution. The correct answer is C. Instant Cloud Flow inside the solution. Explanation. An instant cloud flow is designed to be triggered manually, such as from a button in a Canvas app. Since the Canvas app is part of a solution, the corresponding Power Automate flow must also be created inside the solution to ensure proper integration, manageability, and deployment. Why the other options are incorrect. A. Instant Cloud Flow under My Flows in the Power Automate Portal Designer. While this creates an instant flow, it will not be part of the solution, making it harder to integrate and manage with the Canvas app. B. Automated Cloud Flow inside the solution. Automated flows are triggered automatically by an event, e.g. record creation, not manually from a Canvas app. D. Desktop Flow inside the solution. Desktop flows are used for robotic process automation, RPA, and are not triggered from Canvas apps. To trigger a Power Automate flow manually from a Canvas app within a solution, you must create an instant cloud flow inside the solution. Question. You need to build a Canvas app that captures people's names at a trade show. Internet connectivity is unreliable. The app must store the names until a reliable connection can be made. Which object should you use to store the data? Options. A. Collection. B. Data table. C. Gallery. D. Variable. The correct answer is A. Collection. Explanation. A collection is a temporary data storage object in Power Apps that allows you to store data locally on the user's device. It is ideal for scenarios where internet connectivity is unreliable because the data can be saved to the collection and later synchronized with an external data source when a connection becomes available. Why the other options are incorrect. B. Data table. A data table is used for displaying data from a source but does not store data locally. C. Gallery. A gallery is used to visually display a list of items but does not store data. D. Variable. Variables are used to store single values or small sets of data but are not designed for storing collections of records like names in bulk. Summary. To capture and temporarily store people's names when internet connectivity is unreliable, use a collection. It allows the app to function offline and synchronize data later when the connection is restored. Question. You are creating a Canvas app. You are using the accounts table in the app. You need to set the action to navigate to the default view of the accounts table. Which syntax should you use? Options. A. Navigate accounts. B. Navigate accounts views, active accounts. C. Navigate account.selected. D. Navigate defaults accounts. The correct answer is B. Navigate accounts views, active accounts. Explanation. To navigate to the default view of the accounts table, you need to use the syntax that specifies the view name. The syntax accounts views active accounts refers to the default view of the accounts table, such as active accounts. Navigate accounts active accounts directs the app to display the active accounts view of the accounts table. Why the other options are incorrect. A. Navigate accounts. This syntax is incomplete and does not specify which part, e.g. view, form, of the accounts table to navigate to. C. Navigate account.selected. This navigates to a specific record, selected account, not to the default view of the table. D. Navigate defaults accounts. This syntax is used to retrieve the default values for a new record, not to navigate to the default view. Summary. To navigate to the default view of the accounts table, use the syntax navigate, accounts views, active accounts. Question. You are configuring a main form in a model-driven app for the contact table. You need to display columns from the parent account on the form. Which form type should you configure for the account table? Options. A. Card. B. Main. C. Quick Create. D. Quick View. Question: you are creating a customer-facing website by using Power Pages. You need to configure the text that you want the website to display at the bottom of each page. Which record type should you configure to add the required text? Options: website, B, site setting, C, content snippet, D, page template. The correct answer is C, content snippet. Explanation: a content snippet in Power Pages is used to manage reusable pieces of content, such as text or HTML, that can be displayed across multiple pages of the website. To add text at the bottom of each page, you would configure a content snippet with the required text and include it in the appropriate layout or template. Why the other options are incorrect? A, website. This defines the website record itself and does not manage page-specific or reusable content like footer text. B, site setting. Site settings are used for configuring specific website behaviors and functionalities, not for displaying content. D, page template. Page templates define the structure and layout of web pages, but do not directly manage reusable text content. Summary. To display text at the bottom of each page in a Power Pages site, use a content snippet. This allows you to manage and reuse the text efficiently across all pages. Question: you design a schema for a new Microsoft Dataverse solution. A company plans to use the solution to store products and the product stock amounts in different outlets. Whenever the company deletes a product, all stock information for the product must be quickly deleted. You need to configure the solution. Options: A, create a Microsoft Power Automate flow to remove all related records. B, create a data flow. C, set up table cascade relationship behavior. D, set up table remove link relationship behavior. E, create a business rule in the related table. The correct answer is C, set up table cascade relationship behavior. Explanation: to ensure that all stock information related to a product is quickly and automatically deleted when the product is deleted, you should configure cascade relationship behavior. This allows related records in the child table, stock amounts, to be automatically deleted when a record in the parent table, product, is deleted. Cascade delete is part of the cascade relationship behavior, which ensures that dependent child records are deleted along with the parent record. Why the other options are incorrect? A, create a Microsoft Power Automate flow to remove all related records. While this could achieve the desired outcome, it would not be as fast or efficient as configuring a cascade relationship directly in Dataverse. B, create a data flow. Data flows are used for importing, transforming, and synchronizing data, not for managing relationships or deletions in Dataverse. D, set up table remove link relationship behavior. Remove link behavior removes associations between parent and child records, but does not delete the child records. Create a business rule in the related table. Business rules cannot handle the deletion of related records. They are used for validations and recommendations. To quickly delete all related stock records when a product is deleted, configure table cascade relationship behavior with the cascade delete option. This ensures efficiency and automation within Dataverse. Question: you manage a Microsoft Dataverse instance for a company. The Dataverse instance has a one-to-many, one-to-n relationship between a teacher's table and a classes table. If a teacher record is deleted, the deletion must have no impact on the related class records. You need to configure the behavior of the tables. Options: A, cascade all, B, parental, C, referential, remove link, D. Referential, restrict, delete. The correct answer is C. Referential, remove link. Explanation. Using referential remove link ensures that when a parent record, in this case a teacher, is deleted, the link between the parent, teacher, and child classes records is removed. The related class records are not affected. They remain in the classes table, but are no longer associated with the deleted teacher. Why the other options are incorrect. A. Cascade all. This setting would delete all related class records when the teacher is deleted, which does not meet the requirement. B. Parental. This setting would also delete or update related class records when the parent record, teacher, is deleted or updated, which is not desired here. D. Referential, restrict, delete. This setting prevents the deletion of a teacher record if there are any related class records. This would block the deletion entirely, which is not the requirement. Summary. To ensure that deleting a teacher record has no impact on related class records, beyond removing their association, configure the relationship behavior to referential, remove link. Question. A company stores customer data in a Microsoft SharePoint list. The SharePoint list does not use data validation. The company plans to deploy a model-driven app within Microsoft Dataverse to manage the customer data. You need to reduce the risk of errors when bringing the data into Dataverse by using standard functionality as much as possible. Options. A. Microsoft Power Automate. B. Data Map. C. Template for data import. D. Data flow. The correct answer is D. Data flow. Explanation. A data flow is a tool within Microsoft Power Platform designed for importing, transforming, and validating data before it is loaded into Dataverse. It provides robust functionality for cleaning and mapping data from external sources, like SharePoint lists, into Dataverse, reducing errors and ensuring data integrity. Why the other options are incorrect. A. Microsoft Power Automate. Power Automate is a workflow automation tool but is not ideal for data transformation or validation during bulk imports. B. Data Map. A data map is used during a one-time data import or migration using the import wizard, but it does not provide robust transformation or validation functionality. C. Template for data import. Templates provide a predefined structure for manual imports, but lack the ability to automate data validation or transformation. Summary. To reduce the risk of errors when bringing data from a SharePoint list into Dataverse, use a data flow. It provides built-in features for data validation and Question. You are creating a cloud flow to perform bulk operations on data in Microsoft Dataverse. You verify that the configuration in Microsoft Power Platform Admin Center is set up correctly. The cloud flow searches two columns in a table by using the search rows action. Dataverse search does not return any results. What should you do? Options. A. In the Power Platform Admin Center, turn on Dataverse search for your environment. B. Add the table to the search index. C. Add a column to the quick find view. D. Reset filter conditions for the column. The correct answer is D. Reset filter conditions for the column. Explanation. The issue described is due to preset filters in the quick find view, which are preventing the search from returning results for the column. Resetting the filter conditions removes any restrictive filters applied to the quick find view, ensuring that the search can return the expected data. Key details. The table is already indexed, and the column is included in the quick find view. The issue lies with the filter conditions applied to the column, not the indexing or search setup. Resetting the filter conditions resolves the problem by ensuring no unintended restrictions are blocking the search results. Summary: to fix the issue of Dataverse search not returning results for the column, you should reset filter conditions for the column in the Quick Find view. This aligns with the given clarification and ensures the search works as expected. Question: you are designing an app to manage personal data of employees. Data is stored in a Microsoft Dataverse table. Human resources, HR, managers, and HR employees have access to the employee data. Edit access to sensitive data must be granted to only managers. Other HR employees must be able to read all data but not edit any data. You need to set up the security. Options: A. Configure role-based security. B. Create a Microsoft Entra ID security group. C. Configure field-level security. D. Configure record-based security. The correct answer is C. Configure field-level security. Explanation: field-level security is the appropriate method for limiting access to sensitive fields within a table in Dataverse. In this scenario, HR managers should have edit access to sensitive fields. Other HR employees should have read-only access to all fields, including sensitive ones. Field-level security ensures access to specific fields is restricted without impacting the entire table. Why other options are incorrect? A. Configure role-based security. Role-based security applies to entire tables, not specific fields. B. Create a Microsoft Entra ID security group. Entra ID groups do not manage field-level permissions in Dataverse. D. Configure record-based security. Record-based security applies to individual records, not fields within a record. Summary: to restrict access to specific fields for sensitive data, you should configure field-level security in Dataverse. Question: a company has a solution that holds customer information. The solution also contains potential and confirmed orders linked to customers. A salesperson is leaving the company. You need to reassign the salesperson's customer and linked order records to a different team member. Options: A. Cascade. All B. Cascade user owned. C. Cascade active. D. Cascade none. The correct answer is B. Cascade user owned. Explanation: the Cascade user owned rule ensures that when a record, e.g., a customer, is reassigned to a new owner, any related records, e.g., orders, that are user owned, are also reassigned to the new owner. This is the most appropriate behavior for reassigning a salesperson's customer and linked order records to another team member. Why other options are incorrect? A. Cascade all. This applies cascading actions to all related records, which could include records not owned by the salesperson, potentially causing unintended consequences. C. Cascade active. This only applies to active related records, leaving inactive ones unaffected, which does not fully meet the requirement. D. Cascade none. This prevents cascading, leaving related records with the previous owner, which does not fulfill the requirement to reassign all linked records. Summary: to reassign the salesperson's customer and linked order records to a new team member, use the Cascade user-owned rule. Question: a company that delivers training courses uses Microsoft Dataverse. The company wants to record course registration and attendance. The company configures a contact table and a course table. You need to create a relationship between the attendees and registrations. Options: A. 1-1N relationship with contact as the parent. B. 1-1N relationship with course as the parent. C. 1NN relationship between contact and course. D. 2-1.N relationships. one with contact as the parent and one with course as the parent. The correct answer is D. Two 1N relationships, one with contact as the parent and one with course as the parent. Explanation. To record course registrations and attendance in Dataverse, you need to create a junction table, e.g. registration, that links the contact, attendees, and course tables. This requires two 1N relationships. One contact as the parent. Each contact, attendee, can have multiple registrations. Two, course as the parent. Each course can have multiple registrations. This setup allows flexibility to track who attended which course while maintaining a normalized structure. Why the other options are incorrect. A. 1N relationship with contact as the parent. This links contacts to a single course, which does not handle multiple courses effectively. B. 1N relationship with course as the parent. This links courses to a single contact, which does not handle multiple attendees per course. C. 1NN relationship between contact and course. While it establishes a direct relationship, it lacks the ability to store additional details about the registration, e.g., registration date, attendance status. Summary. To effectively record course registrations and attendance, create a junction table with two 1N relationships, one for contact as the parent and one for course as the parent. Question. You manage a Microsoft Dataverse instance. You need to create a custom bulk deletion job that deletes workflow records from the async operation base table. The records must have been created in the last 7 days and successfully completed. Which system job type should you select in the condition? Options. A. Bulk delete. B. System event. C. Deletion service. D. Workflow. The correct answer is D. Workflow. Explanation. To delete workflow records from the async operation base table in Dataverse, you need to specify the workflow system job type in the bulk deletion job conditions. This ensures that only records related to workflows are targeted. Why the other options are incorrect. A. Bulk delete. This option is not related to workflow records. It refers to jobs that execute bulk deletion tasks. B. System event. This refers to general system events and is unrelated to workflows. C. Deletion service. This refers to system-managed processes for record deletion, not user-defined conditions like workflow records. Summary. To create a bulk deletion job that deletes successfully completed workflow records, select Workflow as the system job type in the condition. Question. You use Microsoft Entra ID group teams to handle user security access to a Microsoft Dataverse application. You need to set up security group teams within Dataverse and apply security roles to them. What should you use to set up the team record in Dataverse? Options. A. Microsoft Entra ID group team name. B. Security role name. C. Microsoft Entra ID group ID, the Dataverse business unit. The correct answer is C. Microsoft Entra ID Group ID. Explanation. To set up a security group team within Dataverse and associate it with a Microsoft Entra ID, formerly Azure AD Group, you must use the Microsoft Entra ID Group ID. This ID uniquely identifies the group in Microsoft Entra ID and allows Dataverse to map the group to the team record correctly. Why the other options are incorrect. A. Microsoft Entra ID Group team name. While the team name is descriptive, The configuration requires the group ID to establish the link. B. Security role name. Security roles are applied to teams but are not used for setting up the team record itself. D. Dataverse business unit. Business units organize teams but are not directly related to setting up Microsoft Entra ID group teams. Summary. To set up a security group team in Dataverse and apply security roles, you need to use the Microsoft Entra ID group ID to configure the team record. Question. A company collects lead information from its website. The first and last names of the leads are added to a .csv file. The file is stored in Microsoft OneDrive. New leads added to the file the previous day must be loaded into a Microsoft Dataverse table daily. You need to create a data flow to add the new leads to the Dataverse table. Options. A. Configure automatic refresh. B. Configure incremental refresh. C. Manually refresh each day. D. Edit the file each day to remove leads already in Dataverse, and then refresh manually. The correct answer is D. Edit the file each day to remove leads already in Dataverse, and then refresh manually. Explanation. Incremental refresh cannot be used because the file lacks a date field to determine which rows are new. Automatic and manual refreshes without editing the file will result in duplicate records being added to Dataverse since all rows are processed each time. Therefore, the only option is to manually edit the file to remove duplicate records and refresh the data flow manually. Why the other options are incorrect. A. Configure automatic refresh. This will result in duplicates because it processes all rows in the file without filtering out leads already in Dataverse. B. Configure incremental refresh. Incremental refresh requires a date field to determine the time period for new rows, which the file does not have. C. Manually refresh each day. This does not address the issue of duplicates unless the file is manually edited first. Summary. Since the cha.csv file lacks a date field to support incremental refresh, the correct approach is to edit the file daily to remove duplicates and refresh manually. Option D. Question. You must schedule data to import automatically into Microsoft Dataverse. You need to define the days of the week to import the data and ensure that you are notified of any failures. Options. A. Instant cloud flow. B. Scheduled cloud flow. C. Data flow. D. Automated cloud flow. The correct answer is C. Data flow. Explanation. A data flow is the appropriate tool for importing data into Dataverse. It supports scheduled imports and includes native capabilities for sending failure notifications. This makes it ideal for scenarios where both scheduling and failure handling are critical. Why the other options are incorrect. A. Instant cloud flow runs only when triggered manually, so it does not support scheduled imports. B. Scheduled cloud flow, while it allows scheduling, it does not natively send failure notifications, which is a requirement here. D. Automated cloud flow triggers on specific events, not on a schedule, and is unsuitable for scheduled data imports. Summary. To import data into Dataverse on specific days and receive failure notifications, use a data flow because it supports both scheduling and native failure notifications. Question. A company plans to store customer projects in Dataverse. Some customers have multiple projects. Customer data is stored in the account table. Projects are stored in a custom table named project. You need to implement a data model. Options. A. Add a lookup column on account. B. Add a lookup column on project. C. Create a many-to-one relationship between account and project. D. Create a many-to-many relationship between account and project. The correct answer is B. Add a lookup column on project. Explanation: adding a lookup column on the project table to reference the account table creates the required one-to-many, one-n relationship. This allows multiple projects to be associated with a single account. The lookup column is essential for linking projects to their corresponding accounts in Dataverse. Why the other options are incorrect. A. Add a lookup column on account. This would create a relationship in the opposite direction, linking a single project to multiple accounts, which is incorrect for this scenario. C. Create a many-to-one relationship between account and project. While conceptually correct, the many-to-one relationship is created by adding a lookup column on the project table, which matches option B. D. Create a many-to-many relationship between account and project. This would allow projects to be linked to multiple accounts, and accounts to have multiple shared projects, which is not required here. Summary: to implement the correct one-to-many relationship where each account can have multiple projects, you need to add a lookup column on the project table. This action establishes the proper data model in Dataverse. The correct answer is B. Add a lookup column on project.